Hello. So I got a haircut recently. Sometimes I just want to shave it all off. I don't know. If I just shaved my head, life would be so much easier. Now I understand why Buddhist monks do it. Don't have to worry about your hair. Ever, because it's not there. Okay. Hey everybody, so I am doing another vlog today, another personal vlog, where I'm just talking about myself, in this case. And today I'm going to talk about coming out as gay. If you didn't know, I'm gay. This is the thing that people do on the internet, on YouTube. They have their coming out video, or their video where they talk about coming out. This isn't me coming out. I've been out. I'm gay. People know I'm gay. You might not, but now you do. But anyways, this is my story of getting to the point in my life where I am now and being gay. Where do you even start when it comes to this? So I guess a good place to start is basically when do you figure out, that, hey, I'm gay. This is a good video for anyone who's out there who's questioning themselves, or people who know gay people, or have a family member who maybe just came out and they don't know how to deal with it, or whatever. Whatever. Maybe this video will be useful to any of y'all. But basically, I realized I was gay. I guess I would call myself a late bloomer. Into my teen, whenever you realize who you're starting to get attracted to, late teens, early teens, that's when it happened. So I grew up going to high school in a Christian high school, which I'm not here to bash that school. It was a great school, great teachers, a great education. They threw in, chapel, these little times where you go and you listen to like a speaker talk about the Bible or something. And I don't really remember the talks ever being on the topic of being gay or anything like that. So maybe they just avoided that topic or anything. But while I was in that high school, I never really struggled with feeling like, oh, this place hates gay people or anything like that. High school was a time for me where I was starting to figure out that, hey, I feel like I'm attracted to guys, but I was Mr. Bible student. I'd read the Bible. I was living the Christian life or whatever. So whenever I would think about those feelings, I would just tell myself, well, no, I'm a late bloomer. When you're younger, no one likes the opposite sex. You're like, I'm not really attracted to that. Go ask any little kid, if they like the opposite sex or whatever. And they're like, ew, no, that's gross. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm a late bloomer. I'm going to be attracted to girls soon, when I'm a freshman in high school at this point thinking this. And I progressed through high school. I don't pay much attention to it. I just kind of think relationships and sexuality, just don't put it in my mind. That was really high school for me. And I know it was a private Christian school, so I don't know, maybe it was easier to not face your sexuality in that case, because, we did have sex ed, and sex ed was don't do it until you're married. So I just never even, I don't know. I never really had to struggle with my sexuality in high school. And when I graduated high school, I was the kid, never dated anyone. Everyone thought I was that guy who was just waiting for the perfect girl, wasn't interested in dating, liked being single, nothing wrong with that. And that was me. Once I got into college, I was starting to think about it more. I was still hanging around Christians in general. And again, this video isn't to bash Christianity, it's just my story, so I'm gonna say things how I saw it and how I felt. But this is the point where I started hearing more things, you know. I mean, first of all, I was at this point I was like, okay, I think I'm gay. But I was still hanging out with Christian circles of friends, going to Christian organization meetings and groups on the college campus, and listening to little preachers or pastors or campus ministers, whatever, talk about various topics. And this is where I really started to notice when there was the mention of homosexuality and how it was a sin. And in my mind, I was still that guy that dotted his I's, crossed his T's, lived the Christian life, didn't want to screw anything up, you know, prayed a lot, things like that. And I felt that being gay, you know, it was just a sin. Everyone struggles with sin, and you can get through it. Or maybe this is God's way of telling me that, hey, he wants you to be single. That's why he's not giving you this attraction to women that should have blossomed by now. And this is the stuff I was telling myself. And I would pray, you know, take away these feelings. I don't want to, I mean, it sucks that I'm not interested in girls like all the other guys in these Christian groups or whatever. So this was, you know, college for me, the start of college, but I was still realizing, hey, I like guys. This is what, I mean, I should be calling myself gay. And the crazy thing is, I had a family who was very open. They liked gay people. My parents have had gay friends since I was a little kid. But still, that Christian teaching that I started in high school when I went to a private Christian school into college, I really adopted that. And I just wasn't willing to admit that, hey, being gay is actually a thing. And, you know, I didn't want to admit that I thought that it was okay. So it was really weird. I was this closeted, conservative Christian guy who actually thought being gay was wrong, and that it was just a sin in your life, and it can be prayed away, or you can actually change, or God will change you, whatever, all that stuff, which nowadays, I mean, I think is bullshit. No offense, but I think it's bullshit. Let's see, I'm trying to fast forward. I ended up coming out when I was 25. So definitely a late bloomer. There's like cat hair falling from my ceiling for some reason. So basically, I graduated college. I was, again, really never dated. At this point, I could tell people were probably suspicious of me. But one big thing, and it's even taught in the Bible, being single is something to be kind of proud of and honored, like that you are giving your life to God, so you're going to be single, and you're going to just be that guy who doesn't even worry about relationships. That was kind of how I was feeling through college. And if someone ever, you know, asked me about, hey, are you going to date or something, I would just be like, oh, I haven't found the right person, and you know, I just like being single, stuff like that. There was one point in college where I actually did ask a girl on a date, because my parents, you know, whenever I'd see them, they would be like, hey, we know this person, you could ask her on a date. They had no clue. I gave no signs that I was gay, or I liked guys or anything like that. So they told me about this one girl, and I was like, you know what, damn it, Tim, you just need to ask a girl on a date. Try dating a girl. Maybe you'll like it. So I called this girl. It was a friend of the family, or whatever, family friend that they knew, my parents knew. So I called. I actually left her a message seeing if she wanted to go out, you know, get some dinner sometime, because she didn't answer her phone. And she called back and said she was actually moving to another city across the country. So I was like, oh, screw that. That's not going to happen. Inside, I was really relieved, but it was weird. I really wanted, at first, when I made the call, I was like, this needs to happen. I need to try dating a girl. But, you know, I never did. I've never dated a girl. I know a lot of gay guys who, they tried dating girls, and, you know, they did that maybe in high school, and then they realized, hey, you know, they're gay. And maybe that helped them. But I never did that. And even while I was in college, I would research, those Christian groups that would conversion therapy type groups of these gay guys that went through these programs and they came out and they're not gay. And fast forward to today, those groups have been shut down, and the people who founded them have admitted that it's just complete bullshit and it's harmful to people's mental health to try to convert people from being gay. But anyways, I was actually researching that stuff in college because I was that goody two-shoes. I was that Christian guy who didn't want to live in sin, wanted to pray it away, and thought God could change it or whatever. So anyways, it got to the point where I was starting to really tell myself, you know what, this is a thing. I'm gay. And throughout all this, I was going to church. I have a scratch in my throat all of a sudden. Or I inhaled a piece of cat hair that's falling from the ceiling. What the fuck? Anyways, I was that guy who was going to church. I was, working on the tech team at church. I would, help the band. I would do things to help out or whatever. No one knew I was gay. Whenever messages came up or, the pastor was talking about homosexuality, it was starting to really, get to me internally. I never let anybody know. But I was starting to just get pissed off about it inside. And eventually it just needed to come out. So I was living on my own, and I joined this website. I don't know exactly what made me join this website. I think it was a YouTuber I was watching, and they said, hey, go check us out on Daily Booth. So I joined Daily Booth. It was basically Instagram before Instagram was a thing. And so people would upload a photo and a little blurb beneath it, and you would just have your profile of all these photos. You would upload a photo with a little caption or a blurb underneath it, but you could follow people. You could see this live feed of people's photos popping up as they were posting them to Daily Booth. And if anyone out there who has seen this video has been on Daily Booth or had Daily Booth, you should say something in the comments, because maybe we said hi to each other at one point. But anyways, this website had a lot of guys who were gay or who were questioning themselves, and I made a ton of friends on there. Guys who I ended up forming relationships with and even dating. But this website, I have to say, played a big part in me becoming more comfortable with myself. The internet became my friend, finding other guys who were in my situation, where they were questioning themselves, who maybe they came from Christianity or some religion or no religion at all, but they were questioning themselves. And I came out to people on Daily Booth first. So I had all these gay friends online before I came out to my family. But once I came out to them, I quickly decided I was going to come out to my family. And these friends on there were really encouraging, and I was encouraging to them, and it was really cool. That was Daily Booth. So one night I was at my parents' house, and they were drinking some wine on the balcony. Oddly enough, they were with another family friend who was discussing how the church was maybe treating her unfairly related to her divorce. And so they were just sitting out on the balcony just drinking wine and kind of chatting about that. And I went out there and I joined them, and I just told myself, I started drinking wine, a lot of wine. And I told myself, I just need to tell my parents that I'm gay. And so I kind of told myself, every so often my mom or my dad would be like, hey, how about this girl? How about you ask her out on a date? And they were doing it very genuinely, very just in a nice way. They had no clue I was gay. But I said, if the next time they do that, or they're like, hey, why don't you try dating this person? I was going to just say, no, I'm gay. So we're out there on the balcony drinking wine, and I think it was my mom who ended up some family, not some friend, some girl who was single, came up in the conversation, and they're like, Tim, well, she's a sweet girl. You should maybe go on a date with her or something. And that's when I said, well, I don't think I will, because I'm gay. And they were like, what? And I said, I'm gay. And I ended up bawling. That's all I really remember, because I think I had drank a bottle of wine by then, but which was some liquid encouragement for that situation. But I started bawling, and they're like, "Why didn't you tell us? We don't care." And it was funny. We just got it out, and they didn't care. I was like, finally, I don't know why I didn't tell you. I think it all came down to me wanting to live the perfect Christian life according to the Bible, or whatever. And I don't know, it was really cool. It turns out that day was actually the official or national coming out day. I had no clue that there was a day that was actually called National or International Coming Out Day, but it happened to be that day. And so I think it was just meant to be. So told my parents. Then I think I slept there overnight. I did, because I was really drunk. So I went to bed there. But then I went back to my apartment the next day, and my sister lived at the apartment complex where I lived, and I told her, "Hey, I'm gay." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I kind of knew." And I'm like, "What?" So that was me coming out. So yeah, since then, it was really, I think since that day, I just stopped going to church altogether. And again, this isn't to bash churches. It's just to give my view and my experience and what I'm doing with my life. But I don't go to church anymore. I definitely hate it whenever I hear a pastor or a preacher or some religious figure or non-religious figure, whether they post it on Facebook or they say it in their message at church, this shit about God made Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve, or whatever little stupid sayings they want to say. Or, God made this box, you gotta live in this box. When you move out of this box, you're living in sin, and you just need to, fix your life, pray it away, and whatever, come into the light, or get out of the dark side, or I don't know, whatever the fuck they're saying these days. That stuff pisses me off, because I know I went through that experience where I just kind of blew it off, and I had a super supportive family who welcomed me when I came out. But I know there's a lot of young people out there, and older people out there, who can't come out because they know their family or their church is just gonna make them feel terrible, and there's tons of people who've committed suicide over that shit. So I don't support it at all. And that's why I don't go to church anymore. So that's where I am now in life. I'm still single at this point in my life. I've made tons of great relationships with other gay people, mostly online, and actually some in person through the various jobs that I've worked at and things like that. But there's something to be said about the internet and making friendships through the internet in the gay community. That's how a lot of people meet gay people and build up confidence to come out. You meet other people who are in your situation. So thank God that the internet exists during my time. If I was back in the 80s or whatever, before then, or in the 90s even, that would be hard to do. Like, how did gay people find each other? Seriously, I don't know. I'm not one to use Grindr. I downloaded that and quickly realized that's not my thing. If it's your thing, whatever, it's not my thing. But anyways, I've met tons of cool people, actually through Instagram, through YouTube, through Daily Booth was a big one. Met lots of cool gay people through that, but Daily Booth shut down because the owners decided to go and do something else with their life, even though they had this really cool website that could have become just as big as Instagram, but they just kind of shut it down, and then Instagram boomed, and now there's Instagram. That's my story of coming out. Basically went from me just ignoring my feelings to trying to tell myself I could change, to accepting them, and now I'm totally embracing it. I have, you can see it, I have a rainbow flag over there hanging on my wall. Yeah. There it is. I don't want to lose my focus. Anyways, yeah. So I've embraced being gay. I kind of talk about it on Facebook now, probably a little too much. Oh, not too much. No, I don't care. But like, whenever there's something in politics or something comes up in the Supreme Court or some anti-LGBT thing comes up in the news, I definitely talk about it on my Facebook. And maybe I'll start making YouTube videos where I talk about that stuff. But I know I have a lot of Christian friends on my Facebook, and I'm never trying to offend you. I'm just calling it as I see it. And when I see things that go against LGBT or try to shut us down or try to tell us that, you know, we're wrong or that we shouldn't have equal rights in certain situations, whether it be marriage or using the bathroom or whatever, I'm probably going to talk about it and speak up, because there's a lot of people in those situations. You don't know the battles that they're going through, and you're just trying to shut them down because you think that their life is a sin, or that people will take advantage when you give them their rights or whatever, or it's going to lead, one thing will lead to the next, and all of a sudden you can go marry a tree or a dog or whatever. So I like to speak up and just talk about the stupidity of that type of stuff. But then again, I'm not one who wants to tell people that they shouldn't be religious. I'm not one to say, hey, I can prove there is no God. And it's okay. I'm totally fine with living with everybody in peace and harmony, as long as they keep their beliefs to themselves, at least in society, things like that. Yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling on, but anyways, that's me coming out, that's me becoming the gay guy that I am today. And I hope if anyone out there watched this video, it helped them just think about their situation. Maybe they're in a similar one that I was in. And that's it. I don't know really what else to say. I've talked for a long time. Oh my gosh, this might be a really long YouTube video. Sorry. I'm gonna go now. It's okay to be gay. Just end it with that. Okay, bye.